Hello everyone, welcome to the Switchaboo podcast. This is episode 1. My name's Alex Harding and I'm joined here by Rochelle Suri-Tucker.
Hello!
And every fortnight we're just going to be talking to you about everything Nintendo Switch, Nintendo news, we'll talk a bit about ourselves, and yeah, just have a little bit of fun. So Rochelle, tell us a bit about yourself.
So I am not one of the writers at Switchaboo. I am just one of those disembodied voices who's here to join for the podcast and also some of Switchaboo's video reviews on
Still
YouTube.
a valued member.
Yes, of course. I am Switchaboo's resident casual gamer too. I'm not one of those hardcore gamers. I'm definitely more of that casual.
You like the casual scene.
I do like the casual scene.
So yeah, Rochelle will do some couple of voiceover work for us. We got a review for Piku Niku coming out soon, video review. We can't really talk too much about it, but
Stay tuned.
Exactly. But you'll hear her voice in that very soon.
Yes, and Alex, tell us a bit about yourself.
So I am the chief writer and editor of Switchaboo. Sounds very fancy, doesn't it?
It does.
I basically write majority of the content on the website. So I do reviews, news, some of the big articles that we've written, and pretty much everything. I kind of deal with the social media stuff as well.
Yep. So you are really chief writer,
I do it all.
social media person.
I do it all.
Alex is the one who responds to all your comments on Facebook,
Yep.
your tweets, all that kind of stuff. That's all Alex.
Definitely when I post all the funny memes as well.
Yep.
Everyone comes for the memes.
That's also him too.
We also have David, but he can't join us today. We had a bit of an issue with some of the recording stuff, so he might be in a few episodes times. But yeah, you'll get to meet him later on as well. He's a nice guy.
He is. David is our head honcho.
Yeah, so he's funded the website. He does a lot of the background stuff, and he likes dealing with a little bit more of the back end kind of stuff. But he has done a couple of articles as well, but they'll drop every now and then.
That they will. Now, at the beginning of every episode, we are going to start off with a fact. So take it away, Alex.
Yeah, so every week we'll do every fortnight, we'll do a fun little Nintendo fact. I just want to start off with a simple one this time around. But when you unlock the Switch, normally you hear this noise when you have to press the button. So that's pretty standard. But there are actually a few other sounds that can come out of it. If I can get my Switch back on. So if you press the right analog stick in, you'll hear this noise. The left analog stick, the right trigger, that's my favorite, and the left trigger. That one's a bit boring. Nah, definitely the right triggers for me.
I prefer the right analog stick.
Yeah? Let's listen to that one again. Yeah.
It sounds like a clown's nose.
It does, doesn't it? So that's our little fun fact. If you have any fun fact yourselves, by all means contact us. We're on Facebook, Twitter, anything really, and I'll see it. So moving on, we'll go into the news section. First up, the CEO of Image and Form. You might remember them so they had games like SteamWorld Dig, SteamWorld Dig 2, SteamWorld Heist. Did you play any of them, Rochelle?
I loved SteamWorld Dig. I played it on my Wii U when that was still a thing. It was a great game. Really, really good.
Yeah, so you didn't play SteamWorld Dig 2 though, didn't you?
No, and I haven't had a chance to play SteamWorld Heist. I know they've been out for a while, but I just haven't got around to it yet.
Yeah, well, my favourite out of them, all of them, was SteamWorld Heist. So I'm actually hoping... Well, I'll get into it, actually. So the CEO of Image and Form, he released a video not long ago. Well, it was actually the 2nd of January.
So a little while ago.
Yeah, but anyways, he gave like a Happy New Year message, but he also said that they will see us very, very soon.
So we've got some news coming, it sounds like.
Exactly, and we thought, well, maybe a Nintendo Direct or a Nintendo Showcase. Hasn't happened just yet. We'll get into that a little bit later, though. But yeah, I mean, I'm personally hoping for a SteamWorld Heist 2, which I feel like it was a game that kind of went under the radar, in the whole SteamWorld series. So everyone kind of focused on SteamWorld Dig, then SteamWorld Dig 2, which, got crazy reviews and everything. But I feel like SteamWorld Heist is a little bit underrated. It's, if you haven't played it, it's a 2D, I don't even know how you explain it, actually. 2D shooter strategy game. So, and your bullets can kind of ricochet off, and you're fighting in space pirate ships. It's wacky. It's weird. I would just go check it out. Check out a trailer because it'll probably explain it 10 times better than what I just did.
I would just like time off to play the game and see what it's like because I enjoyed SteamWorld Dig so much. So I tend to stick to when I like a company's game, I will keep playing all their games. I just need time off to play them.
Yeah, and Image and Form kind of have that certain flavor to them. They have those kind of games where as soon as you look at them, you can kind of tell that it's an Image and Form game.
It's almost like their art style is kind of like their signature.
Yeah, exactly. And the music as well is just, I don't know, it really just stands out to me.
Yep.
I'm really, really excited for whatever they've got next. I mean, even if it's a brand new IP or something, it's Image and Form. They've got a really fantastic pedigree. So, yeah, can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah, super excited.
So next bit of news, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen got announced for Nintendo Switch, which was very surprising.
Very exciting.
Yeah, no one saw that coming.
Yeah, no, I certainly didn't, and I really like those games.
Yeah. Have you ever played Dragon's Dogma?
Yes. More specifically, though, I have played a lot of D&D, so it's practically the same thing.
I would disagree, but I've never played the game myself either, so I can't really say for sure. But it definitely does have that kind of Western RPG style, which is actually quite surprising because it's developed by Capcom. Which is obviously a Japanese development company. And they've got quite a pedigree as well with their developers that are working on it. But they definitely adopted that Western open world style. And I mean,
you can definitely kind of see it while playing the game too.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely noticeable.
Yeah, the game was released, I think, back in like 2012 initially, like on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360.
Yeah, because I played it on my Xbox.
Yeah. So it's quite an old game, but I mean, around that time, around like the 2012, we had just gotten Skyrim, and people were really embracing the open world medieval fantasy kind of genre.
Once we got one, the floodgates just opened.
Yeah.
And heaps just kept on coming and coming and coming.
Well, that's it. I mean, we had Oblivion before that. I think that was like 2008 or 2009 or something. And then we saw, Dark Souls and all those kind of games. So it really opened that medieval fantasy action genre that kind of came along. So if you like those kind of games, Dragon's Dogma might be for you. But the Dark Arisen version of the game is actually the updated remastered version.
Oh.
Well, it's kind of remastered. It was what was released for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like last year, 2017 or something.
Yeah.
So they're bringing that version over to Nintendo Switch.
Cool.
Not sure if it's going to run like perfect in comparison. It might be down to like 30 frames per second or take a little bit of a graphical hit. But even still, like the world is apparently massive in the game. So it's another one of those, Breath of the Wild, Skyrim, like having those in the palm of your hand is pretty crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, you're taking a whole other world with you.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's all like while you're sitting on the train or the bus or something, like to just have that it's still surreal. I mean, the Switch has been out for what, a year and a half now, and I still sometimes when I'm playing those kind of games,
almost 2 years. March, 2 years.
Yeah, actually you're right. So yeah, it has nearly been 2 years, which is again crazy. Time kind of just flies. But I mean, I'm still kind of shocked every now and then when I'm playing these kind of big open world games, and I'm playing them in handheld mode. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that this one doesn't turn out to be like Ark, where it's terrible and glitchy on the Switch.
Oh yeah, So for those of you who don't know, so Ark Survival Evolved, I believe that was the version.
Yeah.
When that came to Switch, it dropped probably like a month ago. It was very buggy.
Glitchy mess.
Yeah, very glitchy, running at like 5 frames per second. The amount of, you just see on social media, the amount of people who returned their copy of the game, like, the day later. Really disappointing as well, because I was actually a little surprised for that. My housemate as well was telling me a lot about it. So yeah, it was a little disappointing to hear the Switch version kind of bombed, and it's still full price, and EB Games here in Australia, but like GameStop in the US as well, it's still full price. And I don't really know how they justify that,
Yeah.
personally.
So as long as Dragon's Dogma isn't anything like that, I will be very happy. Very happy.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one definitely to add to my list. Moving on to the next one, so looking at more Nintendo style now. Yoshi's Crafted World finally got a release date, and
Woo!
that is March 29th. Surprisingly earlier than what I expected. I expected like a August, September kind of release. I thought they were going to touch upon it a bit at E3, or at least in another direct, but no, they just out of nowhere they just released a trailer.
It. Yeah, I had no expectations, so I was very, very happy.
Yeah, I mean, when we consider Yoshi's Woolly World, that game was, pushed. I don't know what happened to us. Was pushed into some kind of development hell. But like it was first showed off in 2012 or something, and it didn't come out till like 2016, or I'm probably off on that. But yeah, we kind of just didn't hear a lot about it. So a lot of fans expected Yoshi's Crafted World to do exactly the same thing. But no, we got a firm release date. And yeah, it's ready to go. And it looks beautiful as well.
It looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I can totally understand, kind of understand why Yoshi's Woolly World was delayed for so long, because that game looked absolutely gorgeous. It had a real, unique art style to it. So the fact that then this one could come out so soon after they've announced it, they must have been working on it for ages.
Or either that, or they might have learned the mistakes from Yoshi's Woolly World, because I'm pretty sure Feel Good or something. The same company is working on this one as well. So they probably learnt what worked, what didn't. And Yoshi's Crafted World actually looks like it has a little bit of innovation to it. There's a bit of 3D is not really an innovation, but for Yoshi style games, I mean, I've been wanting a 3D Yoshi game for quite some time now, or like a 3D Kirby game. I think would be fantastic, but. They just haven't fully realized that yet. And Nintendo kind of keeps going back to 2D, which I'm not complaining, but at the same time, I kind of am. I love my 3D games. I love my 3D platformers. So anything to put into 3D, if done right, that's the caveat. If it's done correctly, it can be really, really good.
Yeah.
So that maybe they just haven't realized what they can do with Yoshi's Crafted World, or with Yoshi in general.
Well, we haven't played the game yet, so for all we know, it is absolutely phenomenal. It is, looks amazing and whatever. But we won't know until we play it, so...
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. And so we won't have to wait long. My big takeaway from this, though, is the fact that they announced it not in a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah. And, I mean, last year's mini Nintendo Direct, that had already happened by now. So I'm wondering, why are we still waiting?
Yeah, well... I mean, because we got that announcement, and then I think it was the day later that we got the Dragon's Dogma announcement. Those two big announcements were kind of... That's something you'd normally see in a Nintendo Direct. They're big announcements, and it was just very unlike Nintendo to just kind of drop them all of a sudden. Just to put a trailer up on YouTube, put a post up on Facebook and Twitter and all those things, and let media outlets do the work.
For all we know, though, they had one planned and it just didn't work out. So they were just like, here's your trailers, enjoy.
Oh, please don't say that. I like my Nintendo Directs.
Yes, yep.
I mean, being here in Australia, though, kind of waking up at 4 in the morning.
Hey, sometimes they're not at 4 in the morning. Sometimes they're at
Sometimes they're at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 1 in the morning, and I don't get to sleep until 2 a.m. Or if not, 2:30 a.m. because I'm doing some writing for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we'll wait and see when they announce the next one. It might just be we have to wait until February. Although I hope not. I hope they come soon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always want to see Nintendo Directs. Everyone does. So the next piece of news, Final Fantasy X and 10/10-2 and Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age, is coming to Nintendo Switch in April.
Woo!
Did you play these games, Rochelle?
I did not, but...
Have you played anything, Rochelle?
So I have only played Final Fantasy 15, and that game was absolutely breathtaking. So I really would like to get onto the Final Fantasy bandwagon.
Is this the regular edition or the Pocket Edition?
No, the regular edition, please.
Oh, okay.
Although that was on my Xbox, but...
How dare you?
I know, I betrayed my Switch. I'm sorry. But I played Final Fantasy 15 and I loved it. So I would love if I could grab this Final Fantasy game and play it on my Switch.
Yeah, I played 10 back in the day on PlayStation 2, and I got right up to the final boss. For some reason, I put it down after that, and so I put it back in its case, and then I put it with some other games in like a little, I don't know, container or something, like a big tub, and we put it in the garage for some reason. Like, I think my dad was like cleaning stuff out, and it was just, I don't know, just put there, even though I hadn't touched it for it was only like 1 week. So then when I went out to go get it, it had rained.
Oh no!
And yeah, I was very disappointed because, you know, like all that work had gone. Well, it hadn't gone. Like, the memory card was still good and everything, but you know, I think I would have been about 10 years old at the time, so I couldn't exactly say, oh, let's get another copy of the game because it had just come out, you know, so it would have been full retail price.
So you gave up.
So I gave up. I got right to the end, like right to the final boss, and since then I've seen my housemate finish the game, and maybe it's a good thing that I didn't finish the game because the final boss looks very very frustrating, I guess is the word to put it.
Well, that just makes me more and more keen to play it. So
well, I mean, classic Final Fantasy games do kind of, their mechanics didn't particularly age all that well. I mean, and that was the theme of JRPGs back in that kind of era, the late 90s, early 2000s. There's a lot of grinding, there's a lot of, you know, very particular things you have to figure out in certain boss fights and certain battles and whatnot. So it's a first kind of fully realized 3D Final Fantasy game, I guess you could say, but it still held a lot of the issues that the previous ones had. But then probably what I'm saying now is probably blasphemy to a lot of people. So
I mean, look, if you've just turned off all of the listeners, I'm gonna blame you.
Well, all 3 of them.
Yes, all 3 of them. 2 of them being you and me. So
I'm not listening to this again. I'm not going back. I don't want to hear my own voice. It's terrible. But I hope you enjoy it.
He is selling this podcast very hard right now.
Very well. But yeah, going back to it though, I do feel like I could play it again. I mean, it's been like 15 years since I last touched it, so I am quite excited to actually be able to pick this up on, you know, in a handheld form as well.
Yeah.
And to hear Titus's laugh again. You don't know that laugh, don't you?
No, I don't.
I'll have to show you after this. It's hilarious.
And I mean, this also means that we have Dragon's Dogma and Final Fantasy coming in April. That's going to be a big month.
Yeah, actually, I didn't make that connection. I think Final Fantasy X is April 16th. So, like, the week after is Dragon's Dogma. And then the week after that is Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. So I don't think Nintendo actually have to release anything in April. I think they've got April covered already. I
mean, look, I'm not saying I'm going to take time off work to play these games, but I probably will.
I guess that does cause a bit of an issue, though, because we haven't played Dragon's Dogma. I could probably revisit Final Fantasy X, and I played probably 2 hours of Final Fantasy 12, and I'm assuming you didn't play Final Fantasy 12 either.
I didn't play any of those Final Fantasy games. So
no, so it's good for
new.
Yeah, so it's good for us. We can, you know, they're new experiences to us, but a lot of Switch owners are currently complaining that, you know, it's just ports coming to the Switch. So I mean, yeah, I can kind of see that if you have already played these games, you don't want to revisit them. You want new experiences.
But that's what March is for. That's what Yoshi's game is for. Yoshi's Crafted World. New stuff just for the Switch.
Yeah, that is true.
So I will not hear your complaining, mister.
Okay, for people who like RPGs, maybe Yoshi's Crafted World might not be the game for them. But still, yeah, you do have a point. I mean, Nintendo are still bringing out these new games, and third-party support is starting to get less ports. Less ports and more new games, but yeah, it is a little bit of an issue for the Switch, I guess, because they are getting a lot of ports instead of new games.
Look, we can talk about this after the Nintendo Direct, because then we'll be able to know for certain whether we're going to complain or not. So
that is true.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people will complain anyways, but
I mean, look, if you want to complain, then that's fine. You can message us and complain to us. We will listen.
Will we?
Alex will respond. I'm promising you this on his behalf. But, I mean, the best thing we can do is wait until the Nintendo Direct, because then we can know what to complain about. But I won't be complaining, regardless.
So thank you for that. I'm just going to receive like a barrage of messages now to respond to.
Yes, Alex is very excited, as you can tell.
Yay! But yeah, so I guess back to the point, Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, I'm actually quite looking forward to. I didn't get it on my PS4, so I didn't have a PS4 at that time actually. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I'm looking forward to actually properly getting into that game. So it's a good way for us to to revisit these games or even play them for the first time.
Yeah, and I mean, this also means that we can introduce, a younger generation to the Final Fantasy games who are potentially, like, you were 10 when you played Final Fantasy 10, but, like, what about the kids who were 5? Now they can play Final Fantasy 10.
Yeah,
on
exactly.
a new console.
That being said, though, I reckon a good way to introduce someone would be Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 7, which begs me to question, where is Final Fantasy 7 and 9? Because we got that announcement with Final Fantasy 10 and Final Fantasy 12. And yeah, no news about release dates for them. You'd think they would come earlier because, they're PlayStation 1 games.
Yeah.
And they're not really, well, they're kind of touched up a little bit, but they're not really remastered or doing anything fancy with them. So I would have thought they would have come first.
I mean, looks? Look, I can tell you right now that Cloud is too busy in Super Smash Brothers for any Final Fantasy. He just wants to, smash. He doesn't want to, have to go through something he's already gone through before.
Sure, let's go with that. So moving on, there was a bit of a rumor. So someone had data mined the Nintendo Switch online app. The one with all those NES games that everyone loves to play. Mm-hmm. And he actually found something quite curious, which was 22 Super Nintendo games in the data. I'll get the list up actually, and I can go through them all.
Woo!
But yeah, people have been screaming for Super Nintendo games. Not just them, GameCube and Nintendo 64 games as well.
People are never happy with what they have.
True, but the NES games, they haven't really aged all that well. Some of them are kind of nice to go back to. We literally just got Zelda 2 and Blaster Master, which I've never played either of those games. Well, I tried Zelda 2 for a little bit and it didn't last long, but I would really like to go back to that one. So the 22 Super Nintendo games that were in the data, so they're Super Mario Kart, Super Soccer, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, my personal favourite Zelda game, Demon's Crest, Yoshi's Island, Stunt Race FX, Kirby's Dream Course, Poppin' Twinbee, never heard that one, Star Fox 2, which that's a very curious one, because that was only on the SNES Classic.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so that actually might be released on a console now, and you'll have no reason to buy the SNES Classic.
Woo!
Contra 3, Kirby Superstar, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Kirby's Dream Land 3, Super Metroid, Super Mario World, Pilot Wings, F-Zero, Super Punch-Out, The Legend of the Mystical Ninja, Super Mario All-Stars, and Breath of Fire 2. So 22 really, really good Super Nintendo games right there. So none of them I can really think of that are average, apart from maybe Star Fox and Star Fox 2, but they just didn't age well. I guess that's for a different reason. I've actually heard a bit lately about Breath of Fire 2. Apparently that's a really underrated JRPG that released around the time. So, again, all these games that I've never played or heard of or experienced before, I can actually go back to. So hopefully the data mining was real. Hopefully we will start seeing more than just NES games. I figured this would be announced in a Nintendo Direct, but it's 17th of January and we still haven't heard anything about a Direct. So I'm getting the shakes. I'm getting itches. I really need my Direct fix.
Oh my gosh. And this is like what I was saying earlier, how you were kind of talking. This is introducing a whole new generation of people to a bunch of games that they may not have played before. So now I can go through and actually play A Link to the Past.
Not yet, but hopefully you will be. I've been asking you to play Link to the Past for quite some time.
but yet I haven't. So maybe if it's on my Switch, I will. And hopefully then this opens the floodgates to N64 and GameCube ports.
Well, yes. Good segue there. So, hey, take the compliment. So there was more data mining actually the day later, and the same people, and there was someone else as well, found more information about. So they had different emulators. One was named something rather. I'll actually get this up. Let's give the actual names of everything. So, just getting the list up. So at Oatmeal Dome, along with at Cappuccino Heck and Simon1844.
Great names there.
Great names. So they found Kachi Kachi, which was the code name for the NES Classic. So basically they used the same emulator that they did for the mini consoles.
Yeah.
So, and then they found Canoe in the data there, and that was the name for the SNES Classic. So that kind of paints, that kind of cements it a little bit better about whether we are going to see SNES Classics games on there, because the code name's in there. Hyoko, which there's no idea, there's question marks next to, and Count. So people have been thinking, yes, maybe we'll start seeing Nintendo 64 games and GameCube games. They could also be Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games.
I would love that too. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really... The code names don't really hint to anything. They're just random. Hyoko and Count. That's nothing. So yeah, people have been hoping for Nintendo 64 and GameCube, but I don't think they're going to do that straight away. I think Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance games, the file sizes are a lot smaller, so they can fit that on there a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, look, these are just names. We have no idea what they are linked to. But in saying that, though, they totally could be GameCube and Nintendo 64. I kind of hope that they're GameCube and Nintendo 64.
What game would you play first?
They would have to bring out Harvest Moon on the Nintendo 64. Yes, I know that it's on the Wii U, but unfortunately at the moment my Wii U is just collecting dust.
It's so sad.
It is. It's very, very sad. It was a very, I really liked the console. I know a lot of people didn't, but I really did. But now that I have my Switch, it's, it's glued to me more than the Wii U is.
Oh, absolutely.
And by that I mean the Wii U I haven't picked up in ages.
So that's a game you've actually been telling me to play as well, Harvest Moon 64.
It was a great game. It still is. It is a great game. I mean, okay, it's aged a little bit, but it's just so relaxing. It's great. It's great as a casual gamer to just pick it up, play a little bit more on your farm, put it back down, and then,
It's kind of like that Animal Crossing
yes,
kind of vibe as well.
And Animal Crossing, if they brought Animal Crossing on the GameCube, which I know they probably wouldn't because they're going to release a new Animal Crossing for the Switch later this year. But I mean, if they released the Animal Crossing on GameCube until then, that would totally satisfy us Animal Crossing lovers.
Yeah, and you wouldn't really pick up your 3DS again, wouldn't you?
No, I would still pick up my 3DS. I would definitely still do that.
The Old Faithful.
Yes, it is. It's definitely my old faithful game.
Yeah.
Console.
I think the game that I'd probably play first would be either Super Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time. I think those games really stand out. If it would be on there, which I'd never think it would be, but Banjo-Kazooie would be my go-to. But I know that's a Microsoft thing. That might never happen.
Microsoft, please put it on there.
Please.
Maybe
Rare Replay.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
On a Nintendo console again.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be the first one I play.
Introduce a whole new generation of children to a very, very racy game.
To a hungover, very
horny.
I was going to say, should we say horny in the first episode? But we've said it, so.
Yeah.
That sets the tone for the rest of the episodes, I guess.
We are comfortable now.
Last bit of news we have. So Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has did sell over 5 million copies in its first week.
Which, I mean, really, it is, kind of what's the word?
Surprised?
It's surprising. It's kind of surprising, but when you look at how hyped everyone was for it and people who went out and bought consoles just to play it, people didn't do that with Pokemon Let's Go.
Well, they did a little bit, but
Well,
yeah, not the Pokemon Let's Go, I guess, had a bit of a negative spin to it. Like people didn't kind of react to it well. Whereas, yeah, Ultimate was just Ultimate. It was the ultimate version of Super Smash Bros.
exactly.
So yeah, it's not overly surprising. But when you consider that the last financial briefing that Nintendo had, the best-selling game was Super Mario Odyssey in like 10.5 million, and then Super Smash Bros. Comes along and sells nearly half of that in a single week, in its opening week. It's insane, and it's currently on the Nintendo Switch in Japan. It's the second best-selling game. Like
What's the first?
Splatoon 2.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, Japan loves it, Splatoon. But yeah, only like 200. It's only like 300,000 units off.
Wow.
Copies off, and it's been out.
Splatoon 2's been out for quite a while at this point.
I think it was like July 2017. So about a year and a half ago.
Dang.
Yeah. So and then Super Smash Bros. Comes along and smashes it. No pun intended. No, I intended that pun.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you. So that just goes to show how much Super Smash Bros. Has that staying power and has that selling power. And Smash Bros. didn't always have that. It had like a very focused demographic, I guess, with Melee and introducing that to Evo. So really big within the fighting community. But now it's actually spread out further than that, and people in the casual community are even playing Smash Brothers.
Yes, I am a poster child for that exact thing, being a casual gamer and also someone who plays Super Smash Brothers. Perfect. That is me. So I just like that I can pick it up and take it on the train to a friend's house, someone who doesn't have a Switch, and we can just sit down and play Super Smash Brothers.
It's very hard if you plan on playing with like the both Joy-Cons though, like just one Joy-Con each. I can't imagine playing Smash Brothers like that.
It's not exactly the most comfortable experience, but I mean, it works.
It works, sure. I could not imagine it. You just need either the GameCube controller or the Pro controller. I know maybe I'm spoiled in that kind of regard, but
I mean, honestly, having such a small controller makes it easier to button mash.
I guess.
Yep. There's no skill, just button mashing.
Oh, I hate playing against people like you. So moving on past the news segment, we like to kind of wrap up our podcast, or we will like to wrap up every podcast
From now on,
yes, with some questions. So we'll do the questioning for this episode, and I imagine for the next few episodes. But if you have any questions that you'd like to ask us, I mean, sure, it could be Nintendo Switch related, it can be the website related, it could be anything. I'm happy to answer any questions,
and I'm happy to attempt to answer any questions.
Yes. So we'll do the questioning for the pilot episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to contact us. I mean, at Switchaboo News. Just type in Switchaboo on Facebook. Anything or
Instagram. I mean, you will find us everywhere. But also with these questions, feel free to comment and let us know your answers to them too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We would love to hear your questions, but also your answers.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to hear from you.
Yeah, we love engaging with our audience.
Yes, we do.
So the first question is, what type of games do you play, Rochelle? So you play a lot of casual games. Anything in particular?
Oh my gosh. So as I have basically spoken about through the podcast, my favorite kind of games are like your Harvest Moon games. I love Animal Crossing. I really enjoy just those games that you can like lie back and play and put down and pick up and not have to really worry about where you were. Kind of like, what was the last thing I was playing? Lego Harry Potter, which has been out for ages. I know, but I'm a massive Harry Potter nerd.
It's true.
So having just like something like that, which I can just lie back and play, is absolutely wonderful. I was also recently playing Forgotten Anne on the Switch, and that game is beautiful and absolutely gorgeous. And yes, okay, I have to pay a bit more of attention to it.
It's very story-based, is it?
It's quite story-based, but it's just so stunning. So I can totally forgive the fact that it wants me to pay attention to the story.
Can you tell us a little bit about that game? Because it's not really a game, like the story of it, because it's not really a game that we've heard all that much about.
All I will say about it, because I would love it if people could go out and play it and then come and talk back to us about it so I can have people to talk to about it, is that it looks so much like it could have been made by the people who do the Studio Ghibli
Oh, wow.
films. It's absolutely stunning.
Wow.
And it still has quite a poignant story to it.
I'll actually have to
play it, yeah.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
maybe add it to the hidden gems list.
Yes.
If it's, because, I've never heard of that game.
Yeah. It looks like phenomenal and it plays really well too.
Wow.
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, right.
So like those kinds of games, I do like story-based games. But, of course, I will be playing, Dragon's Dogma and things like that too. I'm on both ends of the spectrum, but as long as I can play it kind of casually, it's all good.
So the Switch is kind of perfect for you.
The Switch is perfect for me. Like, I will take it sometimes and play it during my lunch breaks. I'll just play it at home now and then.
Yeah, because you never really play it docked, don't you? It's normally handheld for you.
It's mostly handheld. I don't play it docked all that often at all. I like having it there, which is why I am still so attached to my 3DS. I just love being able to carry it around with me. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
No, that's good.
Yeah. What about you, Alex? What kind of games do you play?
Well, I guess I'm kind of in the same boat, whereas I like to play a wide variety of games. Nintendo games, like Nintendo first-party games, are always going to be my go-to. I've always been, I guess you can call me a Nintendo fanboy for years, ever since I can remember. But platformers, I would say, is my go-to genre, whether that's 2D or 3D. Preferably 3D, but I'm a bit more critical of 3D platformers because they can be done wrong very easily.
And you also have a very high standard of them too.
Yeah, I grew up with Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
So they were kind of the staples of that. And then, we didn't really see all that much since, but I loved Super Mario Odyssey. That game was beautiful. That game was, it's amazing. It was actually my game of the year for 2017. It beat out Breath of the Wild for me, personally.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I love Breath of the Wild, don't get me wrong, but Super Mario Odyssey was just fantastic. And it was a 3D platformer that I hadn't experienced for a long, long time.
Yep.
I played ukulele before, and I loved ukulele, absolutely. But yeah, Super Mario Odyssey was just that next level of polish that ukulele was definitely missing.
Yeah.
And yeah, the capture mechanic, that was fantastic. It just mixed everything up, and it just, I don't know, it was so fresh in a genre that does get overlooked quite often.
Yeah, so you just completely loved it. Every minute.
Yeah, I just loved it. It was just a great game.
So then, Alex, this is just kind of like a follow-up question. What is your favorite game?
It has to be Banjo-Kazooie, which makes me sad now to think that it's not on a Nintendo console anymore. But I do have an Xbox One, and every 6 months, I'd say, I'd probably pop in that rare replay and give it another go. Banjo-Tooie, I didn't really all that appreciate much. I don't know why. It just didn't gel with me as much. But yeah, Banjo-Kazooie is my absolute favorite. So I was really looking forward to ukulele, and as soon as it came to Switch as well, like I already played it on Xbox One, but as soon as it came to Switch, I had to double dip. And that was really, really good. So I couldn't resist. But I haven't finished it yet on Switch. I think I'm trying to 100% it, but I got sidetracked. I actually got sidetracked by the tons of indie games that are on the Switch. So that's kind of another reason why I haven't played, too many of those games lately, because I've just been swamped with the amount of indie games that are coming to Switch. And you get some interesting, like, just way to left field gameplay styles with indie titles, and the Switch is the perfect console for that. So
that's very, very true. Yeah,
so there's a top 40 indie list that we actually have on our website, and I'm constantly adding to it. I'm constantly changing it because there's always new things. There's always people complaining that this game wasn't on there, or this game was too low. So yeah, I'm constantly playing indie games now, I feel. And we get contacted by like some developers and publishers, and we also like try out games we wouldn't even thought to play. So we recently did a review of a little pirate game called Don't Sink, And
Super cute.
yeah, it was. And I was very surprised by it.
Yeah.
And I think it was only like 12 Australian dollars or something. So it wasn't all that expensive either.
It's
So
not massive.
no, and it was a nice little 3-4 hour experience that I was actually pleasantly surprised by. So I think that's a big. It's both an issue and a great thing for the Switch. It just has so many games, but with the Switches, with the eShop's layout at the moment,
It's not great.
no, it's not, and a lot of games seem to get kind of pushed down.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't sync Horizon Shift 81.
I absolutely loved Battle Chef Brigade.
Yeah,
It was wonderful. I ate that game. I finished that super quickly.
is that pun intended?
Yes, it totally was a pun that I intended to make. I did not
Sure.
do that by accident.
But yeah, there's just an absolute plethora of indie games on the Switch at the moment. So if you're ever waiting for, or like if you're ever complaining that we're just seeing ports or I've already played this game and all that, look up an indie game. Look up Hollow Knight, Celeste. Celeste was nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. So yeah, absolutely check it out because there's just so much on there.
So then our second proper question is, when will the next Direct be?
Like I said before, I'm getting the shakes. I'm itching for it.
You're having withdrawals.
I'm having withdrawals. I need my Nintendo Direct fix. And we just haven't heard anything lately. Nintendo has been quiet on any form of a Direct. And like I said, we got release dates for Yoshi's Crafted World and Dragon's Dogma, 2 games that would have normally been in a Nintendo Direct. So maybe they had a Direct coming, maybe they cancelled it, maybe they just thought to get these out. Yeah, and there were rumors going around saying January 10th, but obviously that didn't happen.
We had nothing.
Yeah.
So for all we know, now it's just going to be waiting until February.
Yeah, and
Not ideal, but
again, I'm shaking. I need my Direct.
literally.
But Nintendo are notorious for having Directs in January, and they're made to start the year
Yeah.
and to kind of give us a good idea of what's going to come. And yeah,
We've heard nothing.
Yeah, and we've heard nothing because in 2017 they had that big Switch presentation, showing everything off. That's where they announced ARMS, Super Mario Odyssey. That was a big one. And then the year after, in 2018, we got the mini direct, which there we got Mario Tennis Aces, Dark Souls Remastered, and a couple of others. The fact that I'm blanking is probably not a good sign.
I mean, even a mini direct right now would be great. That would be really, really good. But honestly, personally, I cannot see one happening until maybe the first week of February.
Which is upsetting because I can't really think what is coming out in February.
Yeah.
When you think about it, what are we looking forward to next month?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I honestly couldn't.
That awkward silence then was just us thinking, and it was just nothing. I mean, looking in the coming soon section, there's literally nothing. That's Nintendo first party or big AAA, or not AAA, but big games. There's Ollie Ollie. I mean, that's the collection for the 1 and 2, and that's really good. But
yeah, the Unwritten Tales 2, which I will definitely be getting.
yeah,
But yeah, I see what you mean. There is no real big.
there's no big release.
No.
Generally, on the Nintendo Switch, there's a big release every month. And January's was Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe and Travis Strikes Again. So those 2 games were January, that covered January.
Yeah.
But February, nothing.
So then what does this mean?
Well, I'm hoping it means that they're still going to drop a direct. I'm hoping for next week. Normally it's about every Wednesday or Thursday. They normally do it. So the fact that we're recording this on a Thursday and posting on a Friday, that, it's going to be next week.
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Because other than that, I don't know. It has to be early February at the very latest. Because they can't just not say anything. I mean, we have some big games coming out in 2019. Luigi's Mansion 3.
I just want to hear about Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, yeah. There are some games, big games that got announced, but we just don't know too much about it. Other than Yoshi's Crafted World, but that's March 29th. So that's still, a bit away.
Yeah.
Well, all we can continue to do is, I guess, cross our fingers.
Wait, watch.
Yeah, we'll continue to look at, any news that drops.
Yeah, and we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, exactly. But so by all means, follow us on Facebook or Twitter. We post all news updates. So as soon as a direct drops, we'll post it as quick as we can. And yeah, we'll try and keep you updated as soon as possible. But I think we're going to wrap it up there.
That is the end of Numero Uno podcast. Well, Numero Uno of the revamped podcast.
Yes. And we plan on actually sticking with this one this time every fortnight.
We promise you, every fortnight you will get to hear our terrible, terrible voices.
That I will not be listening to.
Yep, no, neither will I.
Nah. But thank you so much for listening, guys.
We will see you next week. Next fortnight, not next week.
Bye.
Bye.